All right, guys, in this one, we're going to be talking about cropping in Lightroom. This is arguably one of the first videos I could have done in the develop pane, but I really wanted to cover all of these tools together. And the first one in this list is the cropping tool. But it is probably one of the most important things that you can do with your photo and what most people probably do with a lot of their photos. So to initiate the cropping tools, what you want to do is click this little dotted line square here, and you can see if I hover over it, it says crop overlay. Short key is the R key on your keyboard. And when you click that, it opens this crop dialog right here on the right. So the first thing you'll notice is that it overlays this grid on your photo, and you can click and drag these different points and corners and sides to adjust the crop. And one of the first things that you'll also notice is the crop window here has an overlay on it. Right now, it's showing that classic rule of thirds grid that you can use to position the elements in your photo to get that perfect rule of thirds crop. This is the one that I use the most, but there are more overlays that you can use. And to select them, you want to go up to the Tools section here and go to Crop Guide Overlay. And then you can see here in the list, there's a few other options you can choose from. And right now it is set to thirds. You can also cycle through all of them by using the O key, and then the overlay orientation is Shift O. So for example, I'm going to press the O key on my keyboard, and you can see it cycles through some of these different options you have here for crop overlays. There's a smaller center squared rule of thirds. Here's this spiral, and again, if you want to shift the orientation of the overlay, that is Shift O. You can see it moves that spiral around the frame. So that's how you change the overlays. Personally, I tend to keep the rule of thirds one on there most of the time, unless I want to use something else. Maybe that spiral is the other one that I would probably use more often than not. So that's how you select the overlays. The next thing you'll notice is the aspect ratio. So right now it is set to original, which means the aspect ratio here is the original aspect ratio of the photo. And you can see as I click and drag, it preserves that aspect ratio. And the reason why it preserves it is because it is currently set to the lock symbol right here, which means it's locked. You cannot change it. But if I click it to unselect that lock, or to open the lock to unlock it, it lets me freely transform the crop overlay to whatever shape that I want. And if I want to go back, see right now it says custom, I can just click this drop down and select original, and it will go back to the original crop. And then once you select original, it does relock it for you. So what you can do is select different aspect ratios in here. So 4:5, 8:10 is another common one, 5:7, which I think was the original. You can also enter a custom aspect ratio. So in this example, I'd go 16:9. And you get that classic cinema movie type crop. Let's go back to the original. You can always reset the crop if you go a little bit too crazy here. You can just click reset to go back. And then the other handy tool in here with the crop is the angle. So you'll notice in this photo here, it looks like it's a little bit tipped to the right. You can see this horizon line. It's slanted downwards a little bit to the right. And if you want to rotate a photo, if you just move your mouse here to outside the photo, you get those two arrows there. And if you click and hold, it overlays this more granular grid to help you make sure things are level with the photo. So this is the rotation angle overlay. So you can get the horizon level that way, or you can click this little ruler. It says straighten tool and the word angle next to it. And this is actually really cool. You can actually click and hold and drag across a line that you feel should be straight, and then release, and it will adjust the photo to that angle. So that's pretty handy. So the other thing you'll notice in this dialog box is the Constraint to Image checkbox. And you'll notice if you check it, you won't see much really happen here, but this is kind of important as we get into the distortion fixing and the transforming stuff we might do later, where when you perform those kind of actions, you'll notice that it sometimes leaves a white space on the outside of your photo, and just having this checked to constrain to image, it will always ensure that that white space is not visible. So you might just want to always leave that checked or not. If you're not doing too much of that transforming or distortion correction, then it doesn't really matter all that much. But just so you know that that's what that's for, it'll just make it so that your crop is always clean and you're not exposing any of the weird white space that can happen when you do a distortion correction. Like, let me just show you really quickly here. Get transform, you bend the photo like that. You can see if I uncheck this, it'll let me crop the photo so I can see white space out here. So if I hit enter, it shows this white space on the outside of the photo, which is not what we want. But if we click constrain to image, it'll make it so that we can't move this crop outside of the photo. So that's what that checkbox is for. It also has it down here, constrain to crop, in the actual transform area, but we will get into this later. But that's just so you know that this is what that checkbox is for. So let's just walk through our examples here. In this one, you know, I find myself using this angle tool a lot, and you can see in this one the photo is shifted to the left a little bit more. So I might take this, run it across like the roof of this house. Actually, that looks like it's probably straight already. Whoops. Maybe this roof up here. That is probably way too tipped. But anyway, you get the idea. So I've already gone through and cropped some of these, so I need to reset it. But in this example, you can see my little finger sticking up here on the edge of the chair. It's what I was doing to get the cat's attention and make her all playful and stuff like that. So I was hiding my finger down here. So what you want to do is just drag it up a little bit to get rid of that finger. Enter. Go to the next one. Here's one. Again, let me just reset this one. You can see this one is tipped a lot by looking at the horizon line here, but this is a perfect example of where you'd want to use that angle. Click and drag it across the horizon. You get that perfectly adjusted landscape. I might actually want to tip it back a little bit this way so that the roof of the building is a little bit more aligned. So the horizon is a little fuzzy. That is pretty much it. No crops needed for the portrait. But that is the crop tool. Pretty quick one today. In the next one, we're going to be going over the spot removal tool. Feel free to like, subscribe, share this on social media if you found it helpful. Leave comments, and I'll try to answer any questions that you have. Take care. Catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.